Welcome to a Majestic talk with the Majestic one, our special guest, Bjorn Jorgenson.
Hello.
We're going to hang out, talk about some wrestling. Should I say wrestling or wrestling?
It's RASSLIN.
Wrestling. Yeah, I thought it'd be cool to have like a theme topic. We haven't done a chat for like ages, and keen to do some more talks with you, including some of your cool custom figures and stuff another time. And today we're just going to have a kind of casual talk about the Kane and Undertaker back in the kind of 90s and that, the old Brothers of Destruction.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah. The old Big Red Machine. Did you see, we didn't get much of the wrestling back in the 90s in New Zealand when this was all happening at the time. So they had a weekly clip show they used to play, and that went out internationally. And otherwise, I just saw the odd thing on like from the rental store on VHS was where we kind of saw stuff, because there was no pay TV back then to watch any of the stuff.
I watched it as it happened.
Yeah.
But I also watched WCW, so I kind of like did the whole channel swapping thing.
Yeah. We used to get, we had the same, I think we had the same for Nitro. We had like a clip show each week, but once a month we actually got a free, well, not every month, but several times a year, we got a free WCW pay-per-view, because for some reason they put out to the international audience, they put them out for free because, I mean, there is no pay-per-view in New Zealand. There was no cable, there was no pay TV, there was no other way to actually put it out other than free-tier TV was the only venue. So they put it out for like promotion and that. So we got to see quite a few of those, which was cool. Like the old Halloween Havoc and Sold Out and that.
Yeah, those were NWO themed pay-per-views, I think.
Yeah, they expanded, like they went from like early 90s, you had like Beach Blast. I'm talking about that next week with Mark.
Bash at the Beach.
Bash at the Beach. That was the next year. They changed. They did Beach Blast only for I think they did one or two of those. Then it rotated to Bash at the Beach. That took the place of that one where it was like the seasonal thing. And then they went from having like 3 or 4 a year to like 12 a year, competing with the competition. And I was reading up the other day all the WCW pay-per-views from the early 90s, and basically each year they were adding another one, until every month was filled up. It's like so many, like War Games and all those, and Starcade.
Yeah, and then they had the World War III was one of them.
Yeah.
Where they had like 3 different rings. It was like
they carried over
a huge Royal Rumble type thing.
Yeah, like that was Dusty Rhodes' stuff, who came up in the Crockett before Turner took it over back in the Crockett days. He was coming up with all sorts of crazy ideas, and they carried over that stuff.
Man.
Yeah, so you got to see the old... What's that?
Well, I was just saying I cannot read whatever you have written.
Oh, no, you don't have to worry about reading it. It's just basically my notes. So it'll be like probably too blurry on your screen. It's
very tiny, even with my glasses.
Like, you don't need to read it. Like it's just there for me, basically as a reminder, so I know what's in each thing. But it's just got like the early feud, 97, 98. Kane is revealed as Undertaker's younger half brother with old Paul Bearer. Presumed dead in a fire destroyed their family funeral home. Paul Bearer claims Undertaker started the fire. Kane abused it, bad blood. Ripping the door off the Hell in the Cell, which was, I think he interrupts, it's a Shawn Michaels match, wasn't it, where he comes out and interrupts that match.
Yep, it was Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, Bad Blood, 97.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, when Undertaker first debuted, there's some early stuff where he was known as Kane the Undertaker.
Yeah, which goes back to the same when they show, they did, they do those like legends kind of mini biography stuff for the WWE channel and all that. They did a Kane one in recent years, and which is where it was showing off this concept artwork and stuff like that. And they mentioned that again there too. They went right back and they were talking to like Bruce Pritchard and about the very earliest ideas of the Undertaker or the Eggman. When everybody thought he was going to be the Eggman for a bit. But yeah, they did have the ideas of Kane the Undertaker, and they had a whole bunch of different like costume ideas and such. And then when they like revised those for Kane, they went with a mix of like superhero elements, but like, you know, like an anti-hero character, and then of course the old Michael Myers style where it's all like body language, where he moves around and like turns his whole head like Batman and that, and you know, not talking and all that stuff. And
well, he did have that little funny little voice thing.
yeah, but it was meant to be like his voice box was damaged, and but at first he's like silent until he starts using that, and then they slowly started bringing in more and more gimmicks, like more, you know, more talking and having his mask partly ripped off and stuff like that. But I love the costume, and I didn't even remember until I picked up that like the Mattel Ultimate figure last year or so.
Yeah, they included the cape.
Yeah, the cape. That's what exactly. A friend of mine who's been watching wrestling all his life in another state here is like, oh man, it comes with a cape. That was just in the first appearance and all that. It's like, but yeah, the cape was pretty decent on the figure. It's cool. And I like the at first how the Taker refuses to fight Kane, which means like when he first comes out and they're like, oh, this is, you know, this is your brother, dead man, and all this business. Like it kind of confirms it, like the way they look at each other. It's like, oh, maybe it really is his brother. They're not just, you know, he's not just trying to pull the wool over his eyes and all that. And well, the fact that he refuses to fight him.
In storyline at this point, yeah, he believed his brother to be dead. So
yeah,
this can't be right.
Because he never had a brother before until they made the story up.
Exactly.
So it's like retroactive. Like, yeah, they made up the stuff about the fire, and then turns out this is brother who's survived this crazy tragic fire, and you know, it's like horror movies and all that, and the Michael Myers stuff. It's like, you know, just like somehow survive this impossible scenario.
That was a good match.
Yeah, I was listening to the Cornette podcast again. Like, I mean, most days I listen to it, but I've heard him tell the story a few times about the kind of putting together of this entrance and the cage and all that. And they said they'd done this style of cage before in some of the Southern wrestling, and they'd done ripping the cage door off the hinges gimmick that had been done before as well, and the stuff with turning the lights off and all these other things. But Cornette said it was the first time they combined all those things into one thing, and it was the first time that New York audience was seeing all the stuff kind of happening all you know, together, like, and all the theatrics and the light shows and that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh, you'll have to excuse me. It's early.
That's right. I've been yawning too because it's like early for you but late for me. It's like we get brothers of yawns.
I've actually gone back recently and started watching a few of the Hell in a Cell matches.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there was one. It was Triple H. I know I'm going off topic here, but Triple H.
No, that's we go wherever we want, man. That's all good.
And I can't remember who he was facing. I think it might have been Shawn Michaels, Batista, or no, it was Kevin Nash.
Yeah.
It was Kevin Nash versus Triple H for the World Heavyweight title, and Mick Foley was in there. And at one point in the match, you know, everyone's bloody. And at one point, right before, you know, it shows Mick Foley with the bloody face, you could see him do the whole blade thing and put it in his pocket.
Yeah.
And he does it on camera too, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, I picked up a DVD recently with some of the like best of like the Hell in the Cells and that, and I assume that match is probably in there because there's a heap of them on there. I don't know if I've watched them all again yet. We're buying a lot of wrestling DVDs lately because the bloody network's going away again. It's like because of all the international deals with Netflix.
Yeah, I'm still kind of slightly worried about the whole Netflix thing,
Yeah.
especially with
I
their
shouldn't
inability
shouldn't be.
to stream the
Yeah.
Mike Tyson fight.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think they'll figure that part out. The part that concerns me is like the 30 plus years of video libraries they have for both WWF and WCW, as well as other AWA and Mid Atlantic stuff they've got on the networks. And in America, it's fine because either one of two things that happen: either you'll still have the video library on Peacock, or eventually they'll upload it onto Netflix. Because when we got it onto new networks here, it took over like a year and a half to upload all the old video library, which is a pretty large library. It's probably actually the largest TV content of anything that exists on Earth. It's like the largest. Like there's more than there is Star Trek's or Doctor Who's. It's like every year for 30 years there's the shows and pay-per-views and
From what I remember, it's only Raw going. I think NXT, maybe SmackDown, or
yeah.
I know they're all
Yeah,
shifting.
it's definitely the new
channels
weekly
or streaming
live
services.
stuff is definitely going on to there. But it was a bit up like when they did the same shit 2 years ago internationally. Like it all changed for Australia and Europe and other places. And they said all sorts of stuff. It's going to be this and that, and then every month it was different. What was actually happening in reality versus what they were saying. So I've got to, for me, I've got to wait and see what happens in January if it just all goes away. It might still start. If the video library stays on the network I already pay for here, that'll be great. That'll be the best scenario.
I'm just not entirely sure.
Yeah, no, they're not good at putting out accurate information because it's all like pretty much under wraps. Like they say, we're doing a deal, and then until it's all finalized and what's on there, it can change in all bloody time. I mean, it'll be on Netflix, but how much of it and what will be missing and.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got pissed because I was watching stuff. I was watching Raw 1993 from the very beginning with the intention of watching it all up to the year 2000. And I got like 6 months in and it's like, bye, the network's going away. You can't watch this anymore. I'm like, oh, you fuckers.
It's usually how it happens.
They just want your money. They don't care like what you're watching on there. They don't care what you're watching. But yeah, I really enjoyed the build up of like Kane coming out as this mysterious brother that survived this fire, and then like Paul Bearer, who's like Allegiance went with Kane, and we got this like memorable Inferno match, which was like visually exciting, but probably one of the stupidest things they've ever done. It's so dangerous because it's real flames and liquid fuel around the outside of the bloody ring. It's like, oh, this is when they were doing really dangerous shit.
Yeah, that reminds me of the Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling. I think it was.
Yeah.
I think they did a couple death matches where they set the ropes on fire.
Yeah.
It just
like
makes
it's real movie stuntman stuff, and they're wrestlers. They're not, they're not paid to be getting set on fire.
Like it makes no sense.
No, it's definitely just a spectacle thing. But and like, they were doing so much risky shit because this is the same era where they're doing all the, Matt Hardy's diving headbutts off crazy ladders and stuff like this. Like, how did he not get paralyzed?
That was Chris Benoit doing that diving headbutt crap.
Oh yeah, he did
Hardy
the
was
diving
doing
headbutt.
leg drop.
The Hardy boys also would do like more like a. It's like their headbutt, but they kind of roll into it as they come down. But the same risk to your spine anyway.
I mean, the Inferno match is something that sounds good on paper.
Yeah.
But in practice, it's like,
It's like dangerous and stupid.
Yeah. And that Kane was going to be the one to be set on fire because he was the only one that had sleeves.
Yeah, he's got
Undertaker.
Like,
what? Were they going to set his legs on fire or something? They're just going to set Undertaker's arm on fire? No.
It's like, no, because it will be instantly burned. The only way you can do proper on fire as far as movie stunts, because I've watched like so many documentaries behind the scenes about like movie stunts over the years, that you've got to be fully wrapped and stuff.
Like,
Kane
had one of those heat sleeves on underneath that thing.
Yeah.
And you noticed how after the match, if I remember correctly, his arm got fire and he immediately ran to the back.
Yeah.
Like right as soon as he got on the other side of that curtain, the fire extinguishers came out.
Yeah, they do so much prep for like whenever you see someone stumbling around a movie where it's a real person on fire, they've got to wrap them all kinds of layers. They have like a fast burning chemical, and they've always got to like get to them immediately, because even if you've got layers and it's not burning you, the heat alone will just make you pass out, and it sucks all the oxygen out of the air so you can't breathe as well. That's the other risk.
That's part of the reason why an Inferno match would be kind of stupid, because you got fire surrounding the ring, right?
Yeah.
It's drawing the oxygen from the center of the ring where the people are. And you're supposed to have this, wrestling match.
Yeah. Even the commentators said that, like, some of them, they got their eyebrows singed and they were sitting back at the commentator's desk.
Exactly.
But yeah, like one of the strangest things that they've done, I think, is just as far as like dangerous and stupid stuff. It's like,
and then several years later, they were friends.
Yeah, they had like a team
just like regular brothers.
Yeah, like regular brothers. They had a team up as tag team, and then they broke up, and then they got back together again and had more fights. And I did enjoy when they had their kind of like tag team runs and that. And then later on, Kane went on to do the tag with X-Pac as well, and had his tag run with him.
Kane tagged with a lot of people. I mean, there was X-Pac, there was RVD, there was obviously his brother. Later on, he did team with Daniel Bryan for a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, they got a good long story. I mean, story matches out of the character, really, because he could have like been popular and died off after a couple of years of the gimmick, but they managed to sort of keep going and keep kind of reinventing.
Well, Undertaker, he sort of had an evolution.
Yeah, he went through like about 3 or 4 births.
He was basically an Undertaker, like from Old West Undertaker.
Yeah,
like he sort of semi-evolved it, and by this point, ruthless aggression era, late attitude era, he turned into the biker.
Yeah, the American Badass.
And then after the American Badass thing came to an end, he kind of morphed the American Badass. And
yeah, just like the hybrid where he's wearing like the singlet and then the black pants. And
and he just combined them into one, and then he used that.
And sometimes he'd bring back a hat. It was different from his original hat, but it was still like, it was a big wide brim hat, and he'd do the slow hat off on and off business again.
And Kane also sort of evolved over the years too.
I always loved his original costume the best. Like all the ones I did later on, I'm like, they just don't look as cool.
Yeah.
But it's got to breathe better for him, though. The less you're wearing, the more your body could evaporate when you do it.
Yeah, because I want to say he had 2 sleeves at first.
I think he always had just the 1 or 1.5, like a half kind of thing.
Because I want to say when he debuted, he had both sleeves, and then later on, he just cut off one sleeve.
I'll go back.
No?
Yeah, so he's got I could be. I'm not sure if that the image on the right's the cage. The one on the left, I'm not sure if it's from that same match or not.
I know at one point
it's in the design sketch too. See, it's got like just the one and the.
You know what? What I may be thinking of is when Undertaker.
When he disguises himself as Kane.
Yeah, because he had the arm tattoos, so obviously he had those up.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. And I find this tag one here on the weirdest ones because they give him all the see-through parts. He's like the stripper version of Kane or something. He's got all the see-through bits.
That's outfit he had was like sort of see-through, so it was a little bit weird.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. It's like fishnet stripper stuff the streetwalkers wear.
I mean, the Undertaker that I know at one point during his American Badass thing, he had those weird like snake pants. Yeah. That was like he only wore them one time, and that was it. So he's made some pretty weird fashion choices too.
That's true, yes. But yeah, I like they had some good team ups with Taker and that, and then they had when they were doing the tag ones too, they had some like good fun stuff with like X Pac. You had Big Show ones where they're like fighting him and that. And
Kane actually did some comedy bits during this time. Those
yeah, he did a few
hilarious.
different ones. So he had the early comedy stuff. I'll skip ahead here. We had this business like where he's
That was funny.
doing the impressions of Rock and Hogan and that. And then that little insert one there, like the weakest link, 2002, that like game show thing. It's kind of strange being on that because it's not even wrestling, but I guess it fits with McMahon's nonsense of the 80s where he tried to make every kind of TV show that wasn't wrestling and put wrestlers on it, like, like that Tuesday Night Titans and Saturday Night this and that, and, trying to be like talk shows and shit.
I think one of my favorite Kane comedy bits is during Undertaker's feud with Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
At one point, Undertaker gets his arm broken at one point, and he's sitting in the locker room preparing for whatever match. And then Kane comes in, sits next down to him. It's silent for a minute, and he looks over and he says, "So how was your week?" And Undertaker just looks at him like this while he's got his broken arm. He's like, "Really?"
Yeah, I quite enjoyed the Legends series where they did like the doco thing on like Kane / Glenn, Glenn Jacobs, actual dude. It was quite good. It went back through all the early characters and the bloody Christmas creature and Unabomber and all that, and then it went through all the serious stuff, and then it showed like good clips of the highlights, all the comedy stuff they did and other things they did in masking. And it was good seeing all that, like quite a range of stuff he did. He's a very talented performer.
Well, he also was a dentist at one point.
Yeah, Isaac Yankem. Wasn't it Jerry Lawler's dentist or something?
That was his personal dentist.
Yeah.
Oh, he was also Fake Diesel.
Yeah, Fake Diesel. That's like hilarious, the Fake Diesel. I mean, it's not good. It was like crap. If you're watching that, how annoyed would you be if you were like, "Oh, it's Diesel"? I'm like, no, that's not.
Yeah, and they also had the fake razor.
Yeah, the fake razor guys.
But I will say, out of those two, Kane, he looked more the part than Fake Razor did.
Yeah, well, at least he's a big guy. I mean, he'd be bigger than Nash, like bulkier and that, but his legs will be, differently proportioned. Nash being the like real basketball looking, dude.
Plus, Kane, he never tore both his quads.
But that's the McMahon gimmick: slide into the ring and bust your legs.
That wouldn't happen if John Cena and Batista didn't have that botch.
So what happened? What happened?
Well, it was Royal Rumble 2007, I want to say, or 6.
Yeah.
5, 6, or 7, one of those three.
Mm-hmm.
And Batista and John Cena are the last two in the ring. So Batista gets him up for a Batista bomb, and I guess he loses balance, so he staggers back. And they both go over the top rope, and they hit the floor at the exact same moment. And they couldn't have planned it better, even though it wasn't supposed to happen that way.
Yeah.
So, the referee's on the outside, "Hey, this person won. Hey, this person won." Then McMahon, pissed, he goes in there, says, "You got to restart the match." But when he goes in, he clocks his leg on the ring apron. So then you got McMahon just sitting there because he can't stand, yelling at people to restart the damn match. And then I want to say he staggers back in the back and then collapses, and he has to go to the hospital.
And did that happen to Shane as well, or is that someone else? Like with the leg?
I know.
Not on the same day, but I heard it some other time something like happened to Shane as well.
As far as I can remember, I don't know if Shane tore his quads.
It might have been someone else.
I know Nash did at one point, stepping over a guy. It just happened. And I know Triple H tore his quad at one point. But as far as I know, Shane didn't. I mean, at that point, Shane was just jumping off everything he could imagine.
And falling off everything. crazy,
He's
crazy
jumping off
scaffolding.
Titantrons, jumping off.
Yeah, he did that one with what's the martial arts dude? Steve Blackman. They
Yeah, that
climbing
was
up
at
that bloody thing, and
SummerSlam.
it's like, oh my god, that was high and stupid. It's like, what are you doing?
But he's crazy.
Well, I looked at the height of that. Remember that Hell in the Cell where Mankind takes that bump off, and that they genuinely thought he was dead for a while when he fell off there.
Well,
but
we all did.
When Shane climbed up that scaffolding, that was nearly twice the height of that bloody Hell in the Cell. That was crazy. I mean, obviously they'd set it up and gimmicked the fall, or there's no way.
Obviously, there was a crash pad because
they gimmicked that part.
The boss wouldn't let his son
just the height of it was ridiculous.
The boss wouldn't let his son crawl up something that high and fall off without no protection.
He probably would. He let Owen Hart die.
Well, that was from way higher.
Yeah. But that was from using like non-union workers who used like piece of shit little like a key ring base instead of a real carabiner that can hold like a minivan truck. Like I did rock climbing when I was in high school, so I've seen the parts up close they're talking about, like carabiners in it.
Exactly. And then I know it wasn't during this time period, but he also jumped off Hell in a Cell later against the Undertaker. And that was an obvious crash mat when he landed on the table.
Yeah, they finally, like, once when they went into the more like PG era, they started being, I don't know if it was their lawyers or other things behind the scenes, they started being more safer as far as like the crazy over the top stuff.
Yeah, and well, it all started after the whole Chris Benoit thing.
Yeah. Like now, even the ring posts, you watch the new show now, the ring posts are entirely encased in a big kind of like plasticky thing.
Yeah, they got those LED strips or whatnot.
Yeah, which I don't mind them. I don't mind them because you can actually take a harder bump but not get as badly injured on it. And it makes a real whack of a sound because it's a big wide thing. But when you smack into steel, you can really hurt yourself.
Exactly. That's why they'd always have to put their hands up or whatnot, so that would hit first, so they could get the whole smack.
But plenty of people are taking like in the Bret Hart book. He said how many times he's taken an ugly bump into the corner ring post and end up like really smashing his shoulder or his neck or his chest and that.
You know what a funny thing about that whole bump is, where they go into this corner through the turnbuckles?
Yeah.
That was one spot that Triple H wouldn't ever do.
Yeah. I like the one when Ric Flair does it and he flips up over the ring, over the turnbuckle and then runs along the outside. Like that one always just makes me laugh. It's just such a crazy move.
Flair always did weird things like the Flair flop.
Yeah. I love the
where
Flair
you
flop.
chop him or hit him, and
he'd
do the whole strut thing and then just fall face forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the Flair flop. I've done that in a first aid training class. We had, they had a volunteer, like, someone lay on the floor and we're going to pretend like we're doing first aid and casualty and all that. And they're like, we've been sitting on the seats for an hour and they're doing all the lecture and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, okay, we need a volunteer. I don't even say anything. I just stumble forward and fall flat down like I'm unconscious and don't say or move. I'm like, better fucking treat as first aid because it could be real. So I love doing that one.
It's like medic. Johnny fell out of his chair again.
But I don't put my hands out. I turn my head sideways so I don't crush my nose, and I just go whack straight down, like chest forward and straight down.
Did you do that on purpose, or was you just like legs asleep?
No, I did it on purpose. I used to do jiu-jitsu years ago, but we're on mats, so we'd do falls in every direction and bumps and that. Like we'd do like backwards, sideways, and I can't do a hard. I used to be really good at doing backwards ones, but now I've got chronic neck pain, so I can't do that so good anymore.
Ugh. Yeah, this is when he was teaming with RVD.
Handsome fella.
Yeah, because I believe at this point they said his face was all scarred and crap. That's why he wore the mask. So they had to come up with some way to.
They did it kind of in stages too, because I was watching a match again the other day, one of the early ones, before he got unmasked, where Undertaker kind of pulls it part of the way off, and you see like a quarter of his face, and they did it kind of in stages. Then eventually, and they had ones where it got ripped off, but then he runs away like a little girl crying like this, going, "Oh no!" And his hair's all, and you don't see his face at all. But then we get the proper reveal where he had all the makeup shit all over his face and made it look real nasty.
Yeah,
and
then they said it was
also apparently shaved like half
anything.
his head, so it was real uneven. Looks like a real, deranged person. And he said one of the hardest things was that he had to keep his hair like that for a bit and go out in public with his wife with the half-shaved head and look all crazy looking.
I would just imagine he would try to wear hats as much as possible.
Yeah, I would think so. But yeah, they made that transition where Tui eventually was fully unmasked and didn't have to wear the makeup so much anymore, and eventually got to the bald head, and he went into a different run, and it was kind of like the different version of the character at that point. They kind of downplay the whole fire thing because like somehow all their scars have gone away now.
And speaking of him unmasking and Shane McMahon earlier, that's when he had his feud with Shane where he tasered his nuts.
I'm just looking at the side of the background that says Kane uses JR's barbecue sauce. I hadn't even read it. I just noticed it there.
The fan signs back then were just funny. And nowadays, security just takes them away.
Yeah. It got nuts for a point, though. Like when it was like peak Attitude into like 2000 and all that. And it went from being like there's a few signs to just you couldn't even see people. It was just a sea of cardboard signs everywhere.
I know, and now you barely see any signs.
Yeah. Now it's all mobile phones, and I get sick of like they're always holding them up with the lights and shit. And I'm like, oh my god, I get sick of seeing them.
Yeah, because back if you watch the old matches, you just see like flashes every now and then. That's
See,
pictures with the crappy disposable cameras.
Yeah. The funny thing I find is like all the people, say if you're at wrestling now, you go to like whether it's a pay-per-view or whether it's a house show. If you're at a live event, say this week, I'm like, the people that are holding their phone up and recording in vertical format, their shitty little, what are they doing with it? Maybe they share it some with a friend, but like it's on the network. It's live. They're recording with big professional fucking camera. Like you got to watch it on your shitty little phone version and not the big professional camera version. Like, because everyone's doing it. So, like, what we're going to watch 50 different versions of crappy mobile phone versions. I just don't get why
some of them
many
might be wrestling journalists.
Yeah,
air quotes. But it's like going to a concert.
I bet most of the people never even look at it again. They stand there like half an hour recording, and they'll never even look at it again.
Exactly.
Yeah, they had some wrestling in Perth. I think it was the start of this year. Or was it last year? They had the it was like a Ray Ripple anyway. It was like in January, or it might have been February. And they rumored they were going to have The Rock there, but he didn't turn up. He was too busy telling lies on social media like usual.
Speaking of The Rock, he appeared randomly a few months ago, and nothing has come about that at all. It's not been mentioned once.
No, I don't know what the deal was, but when he inserted himself onto the board at the end of last year, and he's obviously got a deal where he makes a couple appearances per year sort of thing, like promo stuff and that. And then they're saying like John Cena also this year supposed to be his retirement year or whatever, and just a limited number of appearances. And
well, at some point, not Undertaker. Got Undertaker on mine because we're talking about this, but The Rock is going to have to face Roman Reigns at some point because they were going to.
I reckon they'll do something next year with them. Not like the whole year. They'll probably have some month of the year where they do some kind of event or thing, because they had all that build up with with this fella here. They had all the build up with him, with Mr. Cody, and with the Roman Reigns, and then turned it instead of just being the singles event into the tag team event where you had Cody and Reigns and Rock and all that, and which I thought was fine. It was enjoyable.
The plan was, if I remember,
Yeah,
it was gonna be Rock versus Roman, but then the fans were
that was like the big.
No, we're not going to do that.
There was a lot of backlash because people wanted that years ago and it didn't happen, and now we have this massive build-up of Cody in recent years, and people are pissed off. Like, no, why are you cheating him out of this event just because you're on the board now? You want to insert yourself into the friggin' match?
So it's and then they switched it, rightfully so. And then
I remember because I was listening to the Cornet podcast and they were kind of giving a bit of a play-by-play as far as the social media and people reacting to that. A lot of people were like, no, this is bullshit. And then they obviously saw that and adjusted.
Oh. Yeah.
Have you watched much of the events and stuff this year? Like I haven't watched this week's bloody Survivor Series thing because our internet kept crashing, so I'm going to check that out this week.
I've been catching highlights here and there.
Yeah, I enjoyed the
only real match I cared about was the War Games one. So
yeah, like I followed the Punk and Drew feud this year, and I did enjoy seeing their. They had the cage match at Bad Blood earlier this year. It was good fun. Yeah,
it's speaking of Drew, CM Punk, it's been a year now since Punk came back.
Yeah, it was I think it was end of last year where they signed him or whatever, and then he was still on rehab for injuries and that until he could officially come back, and then he was kind of healed, but they were still not. They were doing the build up.
He was in the Royal Rumble. Drew gave him the DDT thing, but he tore his tricep.
Right.
And that's what led to the CM Punk Drew feud.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I picked up that Drew just a few months ago because I was enjoying that feud so much. I thought I already had Punk sitting there on this, so I thought I'd better get the other fella to hang out with him. And I also got a Seth Rollins that came in a 2-pack, one of the other ones, so now you got the other full to go in there.
Nice. I haven't picked up any new wrestlers in a while.
Yeah, the nice thing about wrestling figures, I rarely get new ones. I just pick stuff off eBay or wherever when it's convenient, and because there's loads of stock of old ones and new ones and heaps of choice. Because they're not in stores anywhere here. Once in a blue moon, I'll see something in the store.
They're not even in stores here.
Yeah, but I can go on eBay anytime
and find them, but they're just not where I am.
Yeah, it's the same thing here. There is some random stuff in stores, but it's like a wave of a small amount, whereas I can go on eBay and there's just tons of stuff and for reasonable prices. I've still got to pick up. I want to get a Jake the Snake and Earthquake. They're kind of my two ones I want to get next. But I did just order a JYD this week. That's the other guys after.
Nice.
Yeah, and I'm pretty happy with this one I picked up last month. Was recognize this lady.
Oh, looks like Sherry Martel.
Yeah, that's from when she was teamed up with Shawn and she had the white outfit.
Yeah, that was. I want to say that was right before Diesel came in, or right after Diesel left.
Before Diesel. It was around 93, somewhere around there.
Yeah. That early Shawn Michaels gimmick was weird.
Yeah, he went through a few different outfits. He had the Remember when he come in on that flying fox thing into that arena and he went zipping down off the top of the arena?
WrestleMania 12, Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels. That's my favorite entrance ever.
Except that was all done safely and properly. If they could pull that off, why did they? How do you fuck up the Owen Hart thing, which should have been much simpler?
Well, that was a zip line and not just a straight drop.
Yeah. But my point is, it was done by professionals who knew what the fuck they were doing.
Well, plus Vince McMahon also did that zip line thing himself first. I don't think he did the whole drop-in thing.
Probably not. Like they're doing it with Sting.
Otherwise, he would have died first.
WCW, so obviously they knew what they were doing over there.
Fucking hurt. You want your dark pepper in the bedroom right now?
Oh, that was right around Invasion. A couple slides back.
Sorry.
That one? Yeah, this one here, the one in the corner you got there.
Yeah.
Because I noticed they got 2 sets of tag belts. That was the WCW tag belts before they
when they did that
fight them and whatnot.
Story that flopped. Like the idea of it was cool, but the execution of it wasn't great.
Yeah,
actually, I was reading one of the.
It sucks that Triple H missed that whole storyline.
Yeah, it's funny. I was reading a thing the other week saying that originally, after the whole WCW kerfuffle, where the company went out, they lost their TV rights, even when Bischoff and other people were trying to put together deals to buy the company.
He's with Dad.
Oh, he's with Dad?
Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah, they lost the TV deal. So when they tried to buy the company, like with Bischoff and that, all they were going to get is the video library and the logos and shit. But without any TV time to put it on, it was worthless and useless week to week. They couldn't do anything. And then at some point, they tried. There was multiple failed sales where no company was going to buy it, and then that's how WWE got it so cheap, because they came in later on after these other sales had failed.
Yeah, and then they did that infamous episode where.
Yeah, I love that episode. That was really fun. But something I didn't know until last week, after all these years and reading his books and that, apparently there was a point where McMahon actually wanted to keep Nitro as a separate show, but before all this invasion stuff, they actually wanted to keep it as a separate show and keep it going and just own it and keep it as another brand as this competition. But because no network would allow it to be on anywhere after the bloody merger with AOL and Time Warner, the TV deals were just completely out. None of them wanted anything to do with it. They didn't like the wrestling in the first place on the network. Invasion became the backup plan, the B thing that they did later on, seeing as they couldn't keep the show going.
See, that would have been their original 3 brands then, because at that point there was all SmackDown, and then WCW would have been the third.
Yeah. But no network, as in not just any network cable anywhere, nowhere was going to play it. They just didn't want to have anything to do with the WCW.
I mean, Invasion wasn't terrible.
It wasn't terrible, but it was like all the guys, were on the contracts, and Goldberg, Hogan, Nash, all the big
all the ones they chose to.
Yeah,
because when
I'd stay at home if you paid me for 2 years of full salary. Why would I go to work?
Exactly, that's what a lot of the guys chose to do. They had guaranteed money. I mean, that's why Sting didn't go in.
Yeah.
One in there too.
I mean, it would have been nice to see Sting in during this time, because then we possibly could have got that whole Sting Undertaker match that we've always wanted.
It would have been nice if we got the full roster and guys, but in a way, it's also, other than that appearance he did years later, you got Sting and Taker, kind of the 2 longest company guys who didn't really cross over in that, not with each other, but to the other brands. I mean, as far as abandoning ship.
Yes, because Sting was WCW. Undertaker,
he became
Undertaker was WWF.
Yeah, and And kind of like Flair around like 80s, Flair kind of like passed the torch to Sting and helped build him up and that, and he became like the guy, you know, in the 90s. And
But technically, if you want to get all technical, Sting did wrestle.
well, both of these guys have been there. Both have been in territories.
Sting did wrestle for the WWF because the last Nitro was WWF owned, and Sting wrestled on that. So technically, and another fun fact, since we're talking Kane, the Undertaker, and Sting, is back in 2008. You remember the promos that they did?
Yeah.
Where there was kind of guy in trench coat, mysterious, whatnot. That was originally meant for Sting.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But then that deal fell through, and they were like, okay, we've been airing these vignettes for weeks. Where do we pivot? Okay, just get Undertaker back.
I'm just wondering why Sting's gone. He used to be hanging from that shelf over there, and he's not there. I don't know where he is.
Did he take an Owen Hart and just fall?
No, I must have moved.
I know that's a horrible joke.
But I had him hanging up there for ages, but it was actually an old it's either Toy Biz or Jack's one from about 98, 99. I have one from back then.
Yeah, I have the first Legends Sting that they did. Mattel did. The only thing is I don't have the trench coat.
I got the AEW one because it's really the best version they did. It's really nice. It's got the best face on it, looks like him, and it's got a big, massive trench coat, and then it's got like gold bits down the kind of tassely bits on it. Look really cool.
I didn't watch this Brothers of Destruction Wyatt family match.
No, I haven't watched this match either. I was just looking up other like kind of anniversary or exhibition matches they've done much later on, because this is 2015. This is like much later after those stories. And after
you look at you look at Undertaker's hairline in that picture.
Yeah, it looks very strange.
It kind of looks like Kane's hairline when he finally unmasked.
Yeah, it does actually. Yeah, Undertaker just looks like someone's dad there. He's just like got the hair and the pads, just some guy you see it on Sunday at the market.
Yeah, and that was when Kane, he had that weird mask with hair in it.
Yeah, I don't like that mask. I always like his earlier mask much better. And every other version they did, the subsequent one just felt like a lesser version of his first mask.
I mean, once he unmasked, the whole thing was gone.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't mind some of the, I mean, it's good for him. He got to do a varied career and do different stuff. But like, if you're going to have this like ultimate badass Michael Myers type character, and then you stop him being that, it kind of just like kills the gimmick.
Because during that time period was his whole comedy team with Daniel Bryan, the whole yes/no thing. They think they were Team Hell No or something like that.
Yeah, I haven't seen from that era.
Dude, there was a solid like 10-year run, 13-year run where I didn't miss an episode.
I'm jealous because I had nowhere to watch it during that time. So it was only when the modern network thing came around I was able to actually go back and watch stuff. Because a lot of stuff's not on, other than pay-per-views. Like, you know, there's no weekly shows on DVD or whatever. And I mean, if there was, they'd fill up your whole house.
Unfortunately for me, is when most pay-per-views are on, I'm still at work.
Yeah.
But
the good thing is with the network stuff, you can just watch stuff on replay any old time. Yeah.
This match was horrible.
Yeah, I was just looking up like for any recent. I haven't even watched it. I just wanted to see what a anniversary or redo stuff they've done. Like Taker was like, this is what he's like really showing his age here. Like his skin's like real sagging. It's like,
everyone's showing their age. I mean, you got bald Shawn Michaels, which was just weird to see, period.
It was, and they made a figure of that too. And who wants to buy that figure of bald Shawn Michaels?
Like, literally. I think Undertaker is the only one with his actual hair, and he's
Yeah.
got the longest bit of hair, even what little's
Yeah.
left.
That's true.
Because Kane, he obviously has a short hair. Triple H shaved his head years ago. And then Shawn Michaels having no hair for a bit. That was just mind-boggling.
Yeah, he looks very strange.
And they all got injured in the match at some point.
Really?
Like literally every single one of them. I know Shawn didn't get like major injury.
Yeah.
But I know they were dinged up. Triple H was the only one with the major injury because he tore his pec muscle again.
Yeah. That's what you call a November to dismember.
I mean, although it was
Yeah,
cool to see Shawn Michaels back again. It
Yeah.
could have been done better.
I'm glad he sorted himself out post all the bloody drug years and taking uppers and downers and falling asleep in chairs in hotels and shit and missing matches. I'm glad he like sorted himself out and went on to be part of the training the younger folks and that with all the developmental in it.
And there's one person I thank for that.
Who's that?
Would be,
other than the?
Well, that would be Undertaker, because in the casket match, Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, where he hit the edge of the mat, the casket, and messed up his back, where he had to retire for 4 years.
Yeah, where he clipped his back.
That was against Undertaker.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for that, he wouldn't have done that whole born-again Christian thing.
Yeah.
Which saved him. And
I don't know how Christian he actually lives it, because it's just like, well, he met his wife and his wife's Christian, so I guess I'm Christian now. It's like, it's awfully convenient. It's like,
well, plus, he's told the story a couple times where his son came up to him while he was high, and he was like, you know what, I can't do this no more.
Yeah. No, he was definitely a rascal in his younger years, being a full-on druggo party boy and all that. And so a lot of people never come back from that, so I'm glad he sorted himself out. But with help, obviously. He never could have done it by himself.
Oh, no. And you know what a fun fact about Undertaker and Shawn is Undertaker retired Shawn twice. Once for that 4-year period, and then later on when he retired him again.
And how many times has Ric Flair retired now?
I think a better question would how many times did Terry Funk retire?
Yeah, that's another good one. Yeah. I was watching some old stuff. I think it was from the 90s the other day. And it was like Ric Flair was retiring then, and then it was like retiring again. And then he had that run around 2005 with forget the name of the group, the faction where it was Triple H and Orton and Batista.
That was
Evolution. Yeah, I like that story, and that was cool with the two older guys helping build up the two younger guys. But he done all that, and that was good and fine. They had some good matches. Ric Flair had some cool matches with Taker and with Shawn, and that's when that one with Shawn did the official Ric Flair retirement then. But then he's come back since and done other bullshit ones and independent shows and gone into restaurants and abusing people drunk and just.
That was part of the reason why he got fired from WWE to begin with.
Yeah.
And then he does the one last match where he almost dies in the ring because he's like, he's like 1,000,000 years old.
I only heard about that after the fact. There was one where he had a heart attack during a match, and no one recognized what was happening, was professional enough to stop it, and he passed out, woke up, and he kept going. Just like, what?
I think that was actually his last match. Like, at some point, you got to give it up, man.
Yeah, it's crazy the way he kept bloody coming back. He's defied death so many times, like breaking his back in the bloody plane crash and then having a heart attack in the fucking ring where they didn't stop a match.
That plane crash actually forced him to change his wrestling style too, which led to the Nature Boy gimmick.
Yeah, and he started as
before that. He was like a big.
Too. He was like massive football size guy.
He was like just the guy walking around like this.
Yeah. Well, it's getting late here, so I think we might finish up in a minute. So I have to
Yeah, I gotta go get ready for work here soon.
Yeah.
It's been nice talking to you again.
Yeah. It's been too long, man. Like, been too long. Been meaning to touch base and hang out. We should do it again soon. If you've got time again this month, I'll be keen to hang out and talk about some of your cool custom stuff you've been doing with figures and that.
Yeah, definitely talk about the Figtober is what we called it.
Yeah.
In my other friend group.
Cool.
So.
But yeah, send me some photos over the next week or two. Just like send me some pictures and stuff of some of your like favorite and interesting stuff, and it doesn't have to be like finished things. It can be like, it's different stages of stuff or ideas, things you're doing, and so I enjoy seeing the different stuff I've been working on. I thought it'll just be a cool topic to get into and talk about.
Yeah,
you can educate me on what you've been doing.
For the most part, on the custom front,
yeah.
Sometimes I forget to post things and I just share it to my other group chat.
Yeah.
But occasionally I do remember, oh yeah, I got to post this. No one else is going to see it. But like the 12 people in this group chat. But I'm going to let you go. It's, what, is it nighttime there for you?
Yeah, it's 20 past 10, which is not super late, but it's late enough to get a bit of sleep for, because I get up 5 a.m. most days, so get off to bed.
Yeah, it's just after 8 here, so.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta go get ready for work.
Yeah, cool. Oh, thanks, Bjorn. It's been nice hanging out with you, and I really appreciate it. And hopefully we'll talk again soon.